Before we get into the episode, future Tyler and Shay here would like to just come with a quick announcement about our audio.
So we are aware of it in that my wife has told me there's a problem. I happen to be tone deaf and edit the podcast. If audio issues do bother you, please skip ahead to episode 8 where we get a new setup.
Yes, new microphones, new setup, new everything. Audio is much better, and I think it'll be a much more enjoyable listen. So please bear with us. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy the episode. So, our first Gilmore Girls episode, first Gilmore Girls podcast. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that it took us this long.
It took us a long time. We've been on the social medias for a while.
Yeah, I don't know how you haven't suckered me into this sooner.
Yes.
Because it's definitely a more you thing than me.
Yeah, I mean, you like Gilmore Girls?
I do. I just missed the boat a little bit when I was growing up, and I haven't seen it really until we started watching it together.
No, but I think you're going to give a good perspective because I've seen it probably 1,000 times, and you've only seen it once and not even fully through.
Yeah,
so
I haven't finished.
You'll be finishing it probably with this. So we are away with references already. I think we should probably explain what we are because we're not quite a rewatch podcast, which is what's out there.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of just going through the rewatching it, but focusing mostly on the references and doing a little bit more of a deep dive and a more encompassing references list.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reference lists out there. Even the Gilmore-isms one that came with the DVDs. So there's plenty out there. We're going to take some liberties on what we consider a reference.
Yeah, so we're going to include everything just so that we cannot have missed one. So I'm setting that tone early.
Yeah.
We're going to complete all of the references, and if it's even possibly a reference, it's going in.
Yes, for the most part. And also, we're going to give some fun facts that we find, because I love a good rabbit hole. We're going to talk about our theories when it comes to things. Yep. And I'm also going to be a little bit liberal with the fact that I know the writers may not have planned for certain things, but I'm going to just live in a world where everything was planned and everything was meant to be. I'm just going to live in that world.
And then we're also going to give our personal color
anecdotes?
Related to it. Yep, anecdotes.
Are you saying that we have Gilmore Girls stuff related to our life that we
we
share?
We do live in New England.
We do,
so,
and
yes.
It's seeped into our life in more ways than one. So if that sounds fun to you, if you're excited about kind of watching Gilmore Girls and learning about all the references and all of the little things, fun facts, things that you see in the show, all of that, then yeah, make sure you follow us. Make sure if you follow, I guess it like automatically downloads for you. So like that's cool. You can like listen to it offline or something. Cool. So do that. We're also on Instagram, so make sure you check us out. Same title, all of that. But yeah, do you wanna?
Let's get started. Do you want to start off with the first reference, or are you going to give me that honor?
Well, so there's something you don't know, so I wanted to start there, if that's okay. So I may or may not have found a script online, and it's, I think, an older script, like not the official one they went with. So there's so much like juicy, like could have beens in there. So much fun. But it starts off, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see what I'm holding, but it starts off with the title card, or I guess the intro.
The promo script cover.
Yeah, and it's the Gilmore Girls. It's not Gilmore Girls. Now, for anybody that's gotten to A Year in the Life, you'll know why I think this is important, but there is a quote that Lorelai says in A Year in the Life that says, they're talking about Rory writing a book about Gilmore Girls, and she says, drop the, it's cleaner. And I'm like, so when did they drop the? Because they did it, they dropped it, I don't know when, but were they referencing this? Like, were they referencing dropping it?
I think they probably were. They have to have been.
They had to have been. So it counts as a reference, right? Because, like, they were referencing, look, see.
That's meta. That's just,
it's yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we'll probably bring this back up when we do Year in the Life, but I couldn't ignore it. It's, like, in front of my face. So, if you want to follow along, we are going to be doing, from the beginning, 2 minutes, 7 and 32 seconds, just so if you want to follow.
So there's so many references, we're not going to be able to really cover it in the amount of a podcast, so it's going to have to be broken up.
Yeah, it'll be broken up, but we're going to do our best. We're going to be completists. So, all right, you want to start? You want to give us the first one?
The first one is There She Goes. That's the Laws.
Mm-hmm. It's the Lalas.
The Lalas.
The Laws. The Laws.
Originally recorded in 1988.
I mean, I think that's a good year. I mean, I think it's a good
you're
year.
biased because you were born in 1988.
I just think it's a good year. I mean, I have nothing to do with it.
You're just straight millennial through and through. So it was actually so popular that one of the musicians said that it kind of was a curse because it allowed them to coast and still get paid on the residuals. So they didn't actually have to do anything music related or special.
Interesting.
And then it's been remade a couple times.
Yeah, so I was actually going to ask you. I got conflicting information on the internet. Does Gilmore Girls have the version from the Lalas or from Sixpence None the Richer? Because on Wikipedia, it said it was Sixpence None the Richer's version, but then when I was like Googling like the soundtrack and stuff, it said the Lalas, and I'm like, I'm very lost.
So, I think it's the remake.
The Sixpence?
Yeah.
Which you know why you know them, right? Like the millennial in you knows why?
Yes.
Why? I want to make sure you know.
Go
on. Yeah.
Why?
The Wedding Singer.
Oh, right, yep.
Like I'm sorry, it's not important, but I needed to get it out there because it was bothering me why I knew them. So, anyway, so one of the things though that surprised me about this song, and I'm just gonna see if you know this. I think this is the only time it's played.
It might be, but it's a meaningful song. It sets the entire tone. It's there's a lot of speculation from what I saw that it ties Lorelai to Luke. There she goes again. I think it's a nice little segue into the small town life because it's a very happy song. There's no real heavy tones to it. There's no like screaming.
Yeah. So you mean heavy tones in like the way it sounds, not heavy
Correct.
tones in the content.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's supposedly about drugs, but
yeah, supposedly. I mean, supposedly the original song is about. Are we allowed to say that on a podcast? It's the drug with an H, so we're just gonna say that. That's what it's supposedly about. But I actually, first of all, I'm really shocked that it was only in this episode. And please, if you guys know that it's in another episode, we're gonna be keeping an ear out for it. But from what I can tell on Google, this is the only one, and I feel like it like makes me feel like Gilmore Girls want to hear it. Like, granted, I've probably listened to the pilot 1,000 times.
Yeah, you're a little bit biased. You're a little bit biased. I don't immediately think Gilmore Girls want to hear the song, but I have a more unbiased.
Yeah, that's fair. But I do think it's actually really important for this scene because it's really setting the scene. It's kind of showing that like Lorelai, is the lifeblood of this show. Like we're following her through her life. There she goes, and we're gonna everybody in the town is in love with her. Just like in the song, everyone's or the person that's singing the song is in love with the main heroine. Definitely everyone in the town is in love with Lorelai, and we see everything through her eyes. So I definitely think it's a great song to set up the whole thing, but yeah.
I think for the most part, the song choices are spectacular.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Fire soundtrack. And they'll be getting even more fire as we go along, so cannot wait for that. The next one is about Jack Kerouac. And before we get into that one, I just need to mention something in the script here. So she's talking to this guy that has come into the diner and, to give you context of the scene. And the script states that this is a very attractive man she is talking to. How do we feel about that?
He feels like a himbo, like a male bimbo. I'm sorry if I'm projecting a little bit, but he doesn't seem like the brightest bulb in the box. No,
and he seems way out of Lorelai's league. Like, he just doesn't seem like...
out of it in the underdirection. Like, he's playing t-ball, she's in the professional...
Yeah, like, I didn't look at him and think, like, oh, obviously she's gonna date him. Like, that was... I never even considered that would be an option, so...
And, like, he's awkwardly in the middle between her and her daughter for age.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, he's 22, she's a mom and has her life already... And he's going after her and then a child.
Yeah. It was just a very odd, like, note. I'm like, I don't know if you hit that mark there. But, yeah, she calls him a regular Jack Kerouac because he is saying that he is traveling through from Hartford, Connecticut. Now,
he's on the road.
He's on the road, exactly. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are from the New England area, but maybe we should give some context about what that means.
Well, Jack Kerouac is known for on the road, and Hartford to Stars Hollow is only about a 20-minute, 30-minute drive.
Yeah, about that.
In New England, if you're outside of Rhode Island, doesn't matter. Rhode Island very much matters. Anything over 10 minutes is too far to drive.
Which is ridiculous because you can get through Rhode Island in about an hour. Like,
yeah.
I mean...
Well, that is why. I mean, people just don't drive more than 10, 15 minutes for anything. For any reason.
Do you mean that they stay in their little corner of the world?
Yeah.
Sorry. Just had to do it.
So, we actually have an interesting story about Jack Kerouac.
We're going to share this?
Yeah, this is your fault.
And you didn't even know this was Gilmore Girls related until we sat down to do this.
No, it came to me as we were doing this going, yeah. We went to visit Jack Kerouac's grave.
Yes.
He's in Lowell, Massachusetts, which is not that far from our house. I mean, it's a little ways. I don't know what happened because it was pouring rain when we got there.
Like an actual downpour.
Like,
and we were like, oh yeah, we'll still go out to a grave. Doop-a-doop-a-doop.
Yeah,
Did we have an umbrella?
I had a raincoat. And
I don't feel like I had anything. I don't own a raincoat, never have, and I feel like I didn't bring it.
Soaked within like 10 seconds. It was.
But we were very happy about it.
We were very adventurous, and I had no idea that this is why. And now looking back on it, you owe me because that was awful.
Yeah, so if you guys are from the area and you can go to Lowell, there is a bunch of little like nips, like alcohol bottles.
Yeah, people leave books that he wrote and alcohol for him because apparently he was a bit of a drinker, and it's a nice little homage, and it's one of the few things you can do in Lowell other than go to the mill. Which
Now we also did another thing when we went there.
We went to the mill.
Yes, and when we went to the mill, so while we were on our journey, as Jack Kerouac would have been, there may have been a situation.
I walked into a pole in Lowell. Say that 10 times fast.
Straight on. Like, just right into that pole. Which, that made the day just even more delightful.
For you.
For me, which is what's important.
Great. So happy.
Yeah, we had so much fun. I think we do have some photos from that, so I will share those on our Instagram if you guys want to see them, because, like, it's great. I don't know that we look that wet. Like, we are soaked, but I don't know that we look that wet.
We are drowned rats in this. Like, it's pouring buckets the entire day. I mean, getting back to the show, because we're a little bit sidetracked.
It's fine.
It's a solid day, because she's basically saying you're going from here to Hartford. You're going to. I could walk there if you gave me enough time.
Yeah, like,
it's not hard. Like, it's
world traveler. You are
exactly.
Yeah.
She's being a sarcastic, snide person, which is her character.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone like that. So.
I mean, it's totally also deserved. Like, he was just awful.
He was terrible. But so as I said at the beginning of this, we're gonna live in a world where everything was planned and everything was known from the beginning of the show, right? We're gonna live in this world?
Sure.
You're gonna live in it with me? Alright, so later on in the show, this book comes back. And it's with a particular character who very much embodies Jack Kerouac. Could you possibly guess who
your favorite character,
of
obviously.
Of course! There are even pictures out there of comparing what Jack Kerouac looks like to Jess, if you guys didn't pick that up. And first of all, I mean, I gotta say, they do look alike. They do.
Similar.
Similar.
I will give you that.
And Jess is later seen reading the book on the road. We will probably go into the book when we get to that episode more, because I don't want to kind of go into all of that right now. But Jess really does kind of give you that vibe. He's the traveler type. I mean, Rory goes to New York to see him because he ends up...
Not in an ironic way, like she's saying here.
No.
It's in a genuine way now.
Yeah, so could it be that they were kind of foreshadowing that someone like him...
Yeah, they totally planned that.
Hey, we don't know. I think there was always a plan for a character like Jess, and I will get into kind of what I think happened. But I do think that there was always a plan for that. So maybe she knew the Jack Kerouac vibe is something she wanted in the show. I don't know. No. So the next one's in the same area. So they're in the diner.
They haven't moved from the diner. They are in Luke's.
Yes.
Because the entire show, like 3/4 of the show, is set in that coffee shop.
Yeah. I mean, they're sitting there. They're going through what the script calls the world's biggest bag. I don't know about that.
Was it that big? I mean, it was a big makeup bag, but it's not... When I think world's biggest bag, I think of like a giant tote.
I think of like comically large. Like I'm thinking like a clown's bag, like they can pull out like...
Or like that magic bag that you can pull, Mary Poppins bag where it fits everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that vibe, but that's what the script says. And they're looking through it and they're looking at makeup and they're talking about the different lip balms that we had as kids. You know, I'm thinking like the Smucker's ones with all the color, with all the flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be Smucker's. That's what I'm guessing. But they reference RuPaul and they say that even RuPaul doesn't need this much makeup. So that's our next reference. And I gotta say, you guys are listening to this and you're gonna think, oh, I know who RuPaul is. RuPaul Drag Show. Who doesn't know that? But that wasn't around back when this came out on
I think
TV.
this reference actually has aged a little bit better in terms of relevance now versus when they said it back in 2000.
For sure. I definitely agree with you.
Now, do we think that it was as politically correct and sensitive to the circumstances back then, or have we come further as a society? Would they get away with this kind of reference?
So you actually feel differently than I do about this. So I have some opinions about RuPaul and why he was referenced, but I didn't find the reference negative, and I know you did, and I'm actually curious about that.
I don't really find it negative. I'm worried because the 90s and the early 2000s was a vastly different time. There was a lot more... There's a lot less sensitivity in comedy, in social media, and pop culture especially. So I don't know where it lands because I didn't watch it at the time, but...
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like, at least as a viewer back then, I wouldn't have known who that was. And I actually, for me, feel like because they did and they referenced RuPaul in a nice way, like there wasn't anything negative, I feel like that's actually a good thing, showing they're culturally aware. But I don't know, honestly. I'd be curious to know what people think about that, if it landed for them. But I wanted to give a little bit of background of what RuPaul was back then, just because they didn't have RuPaul's Drag Race.
Singer and model?
Yeah, so RuPaul was a model for MAC Cosmetics, had a bunch of albums, had a VH1 show called The RuPaul Show, and from what I could tell, this was filmed in 1999, or at least somewhere close to there, although the script does say 2000s as well.
Well, because it came out in 2000, so it was either the very beginning of 2000 or the tail end of 1999.
Right, so it's very possible that the script was written in 1999. And in 1999, RuPaul was awarded the Vito Russo Award at GLAAD Media for promoting equality in the LGBTQ community.
Perfect. Well,
so that's...
Then it is an uplifting reference, and I apologize. I retract my statement.
Well, I just thought that was really great, and that means that the writer was aware of that, and that, to me, is awesome, so I wanted to say that. Now, do you know who won it in 2023, the same award?
Dylan?
Actually, that would have been really great. Dylan Mulvaney, right?
Yeah.
That's what you mean? I mean, no, but I would have loved that. No, it was Jonathan Van Ness, which is my favorite person from Queer Eye on Netflix.
Ah.
Yeah, so,
okay.
I mean, all right. So, it's a pretty cool award. I actually didn't know it existed, which makes me feel terrible.
2023?
2023.
Oh.
Yeah. Makes me feel terrible that I didn't know, but now that I know, I want to, watch the award show because I love Jonathan Van Ness. So, anyways... Moving forward, because we got to get through these references.
We're on the third reference, and it's already...
We're on four. So the next one is Macy Gray, which is referenced so many times in this episode, and this is the only time we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
so.
it's referenced at least 3 times, where they play the same song twice, and she says, "I lost my Macy Gray CD," in Luke's Diner. Quintessential early 2000. That's... Yeah, that's a reference that hits from back then. That.
Did Macy Gray have other songs that were that ubiquitous in the 90s? Because I couldn't think of another song that I really...
You're really asking the wrong person. You're asking the wrong person. I don't listen to music very often. I'm tone deaf, and that's just not my thing. So you'd have to soldier on through that without me.
Well, I mean, so this one, everyone knew. I mean, if you were a millennial growing up around this time and you didn't know this song, I don't know what to say to you. Do you want to guess when it came out?
1999?
You got it. It's a theme in this one.
Yeah. And for those of you that are the younger audience that don't know what a CD player is, it is what we had before iPods, which is what we had before streaming, which is...
Do you want to just age us? Do you want to just do that?
We're old. We are colossally old.
I do.
It's one step past cassette tapes.
We did also have those. That is in our lifetime. So that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me feel really old.
You're welcome.
I do have a gripe. If anybody is a Wikipedia person and is good at this, I mean, I know I can just hit the edit button and do it myself, but I don't want to. It's not listed on the Macy Gray Wikipedia that it was in Gilmore Girls. It's listed all, a bunch of other shows are. One with Michael J. Fox is listed, but this isn't. And it's in it multiple times. So I feel like it should be...
Task for somebody who's listening, or for me when you make me do it 5 minutes from now.
So the song that's actually played in the show, which is later on in the show, but I don't want to bring up Macy Gray twice in this
Yeah.
And
So it's referenced multiple times in the pilot.
Yeah, the song that is played is I Try. And I think it's a relevant song to what's happening in this episode, because this is a very much a foundational episode. It's really setting up Lorelai's, the fact that she went away from home, not really ran away, but left home at an early age, that doesn't have a great relationship with her parents, that Rory is going through a major change right now, leaving Stars Hollow High. I think that it's a really foundational episode all about big shifts in both of their lives.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
So the first line of the song says, "Game changes and fears. Where will they go from here? Where will they stop?" I think that's like kind of the whole show, right? It's all about changing and being afraid of change. I mean, Rory has her whole episode where she doesn't want to actually leave Stars Hollow because she's afraid of change, but also because she meets a boy. But I think that it's bigger than just meeting a boy. I think she's afraid of change, which we all experience.
Yeah, I think it's the idea that fear of failure because you're now one step closer to achieving your dream and your goal, and that also means that you're one step closer to potentially failing at your dream or your goal, which can prevent people from doing it. I mean, there's a lot of instances where people don't actually try to pursue their dreams, unfortunately, because they're so worried about not living up to the expectation.
Yeah, which I think is just so relevant to what we go through. And then on Lorelai's side, she's really basically deciding that she's going to allow her parents back into her life after pretty much closing them out for the last, I mean, I guess it would be 16 years or somewhere around there, because that's about what Rory is. And the actual song was about Macy Gray's struggle to move on from a relationship despite her best efforts. And I feel like this is both of them kind of struggling to like move forward with their life right now. And they of course overcome this, but in this episode they're really kind of living in that struggle. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
It's the most popular Macy Gray song that I know. And what's the only one? And then also it's very applicable lyrically to what's going on in the pilot.
All right, so that is the song. We are still not out of Luke's. I just want to make that clear. This is how many references there are. We're still in Luke's for the next reference. So this is insane to me. Do you want to go with the next one?
So the next one is Lorelai calling Luke Officer Krupke as a kind of jab at him being kind of a nosy, busybody, gruff, grouchy, but kind-hearted person. And it fits very well because he is that person. Like he is a not very polished, socially, genuinely good person that cares but doesn't present it in the right way.
Yeah, and I definitely think in the earlier episodes he comes across way more gruff than in the later episodes. I mean, he's always kind of the lovable grouch, right? Yeah. But I definitely think in the earlier episodes he comes across way more that way. This is definitely a reference I would have never gotten when I first watched this show.
West Side Story?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I loved musicals and stuff, but West Side Story was just not one that came to me. And I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with West Side Story, but there is even a more current remake that if people...
Yeah, it's rival street gangs. It's tale as old as time, people not getting along. Although, to be fair, we watched the old version from like probably the 1950s or 60s. And... the gang is not intimidating. I'm not scared of someone that is wearing a full suit coat and a skinny tie. Stop it.
Yeah, so the song is them trying to kind of say, like, they're making fun of Officer Krupke and they're kind of being...
have some sympathy for us. We didn't have any choice because our lives are terrible and it's not our fault. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And society's let us down and we're just doing the best we can.
Yeah, and they're straight mocking Officer Krupke the whole time, which is exactly what Lorelai is doing here to Luke. She's just mocking him. She knows that he's going to say his piece and she's still going to get what she wants, and she's got the power in this situation.
He's going to cave and she's going to get exactly what she wants because that's how that works.
That's their dynamic, and she knows that. She knows she holds the upper hand and she can say what she wants, which is, I mean, I love that. I mean, just do. Now, I did want to ask you, so...
doesn't resonate at all with you?
No, I don't know what you're referring to. Anyway, West Side Story. Do you know anything about the actual play?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is it an adaptation of?
It's basically Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, it's
basically the same thing. It's the two rival gangs and it's the star-crossed lover. It's the trope that goes on forever. It's never going to stop being that thing. It was probably done before Romeo and Juliet, and They're just less famous than Shakespeare.
Yeah. I mean, star-crossed lovers are mentioned a lot in this show. You know, I don't know. There might be somebody coming later on. I don't know. It's just, star-crossed lovers.
No, it's Luke and Lorelai, obviously.
It's Jess and Rory.
Oh, it's Luke and Lorelai.
No.
Obviously.
How are Luke and Lorelai star-crossed?
Because they are fated to be together.
And what gets in the way? Her ego? What are we talking about?
Themselves.
Oh, okay. Well, with Jess and Rory, everybody gets in the way. The whole town gets in the way. So, you guys tell us, which one is it? Is it either? Is it both? It's all of them. All right, we finally made it to the theme song.
We've made it to the title sequence. Oh my god.
Yeah, like how many minutes are we into this podcast? Let me see. So we are 30 minutes into our podcast, and we've made it to the theme song. Look, we're doing great. We're doing a great job.
We are so professional, buttoned up, on point, efficient. Yeah, that's us.
We've made it. So, theme song, Carole King. It is Where You Lead. I can't sing it because I will probably get not demonetized. A strike against me for doing it. So, if you know, you know. It is the theme song.
Where You Lead, I will follow.
Yes. So this song was originally a Barbra Streisand song, but that was written by Carole King and then was remade for the show to kind of more show the mother-daughter dynamic versus the relationship dynamic that it was originally written for.
I think it does a very good job of outlining that aspect without the bridge where it mentions one man, which it's a romantic ballad.
I don't think the bridge is in the show, right?
No, it's not. So I was trying to think back in my head, and I don't believe that it's the chorus and there's the main lines, but there's no bridge sequence.
Yeah. They made it, cleaned it up for the show.
It does a very good job of highlighting the dynamic between mother and daughter, I feel. Yeah,
I definitely do it. It's one of those songs that you hear that and you know Gilmore Girls. Like that is what it is. Like it is.
To me, it's emblematic of. It's almost like Lorelai is singing the song to Rory.
See, I thought it was the opposite. Rory singing it to her because, where you lead, Lorelai, I will follow you. You know.
Well, Lorelai is the main character of the show, but it's her journey as a mother to do whatever is necessary for her kid. In my mind, that's where I extrapolate that. Speaking as someone looking on the outside in, because I don't have a mother-daughter dynamic.
That makes sense.
For a number of reasons. I don't know. It struck me that it was a mom singing to her kid, especially like a young kid, as she goes to sleep. Where you lead, I'll follow. That's the vibe I got.
That makes sense. I've always viewed it as the other way around, of Rory kind of looking up to her mother and saying there's a point in the show where she says that she's her role model. Even in this episode, she says Luke says something like, you don't want to be like your mom, and she says too late.
Yeah.
So it was kind of I always viewed it as Rory looking to Lorelai and saying I will do what you do. I'm always here for you. I've got your back, that kind of thing. So I guess it could work on both levels.
It works on both. But if anyone is listening and they want to chime in here, I would be very curious to see how other people view that, really.
Yeah, I'm wondering which perspective you think it's from. If you think it's Lorelai, if you think it's Rory, both, or maybe somebody else in the show. I don't know. Emily, Lane, Paris later on. I don't know. We find us on Instagram and DM me that, because I would be curious to know that.
I just want to be right once in my life. Just one time. Just one time.
I mean, good luck, because I watched it a lot of times. So, before we get to the next reference, though, they switch over to a new scene, and we're
not even past that.
Oh.
Because Carole King is important to the show. She comes back later.
Oh, you're right.
She comes back. She's a character on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious how many people know this. I mean, I feel like it's well known in the community, but I don't know. Did you know?
You are embedded in the community.
I am really
You are deep in there. You're at the bedrock foundation. It's part of your identity. So I think that's coloring that a little bit. I think that's influencing your...
Did you know?
No. Why would I know that?
Yeah. So
why would I know that?
If you didn't know, Carole King does come back later. She plays Sophie Bloom, which is the music store owner where Lane gets her drums, and they have a back and forth. It's pretty cool. I think she also does come back in A Year in the Life. I don't remember exactly what capacity, but just amazing that she was in the show.
Yeah.
I just find that amazing and cool. So you're right. We needed to talk about that.
Yeah, you cannot move on without acknowledging that she is all over the show.
Yeah, no, No, Carole King is one of the hearts of the show, and I think
Yeah.
that's really important to say. All right, so then we finally move out of Luke's. Don't worry, we're moving. We're moving.
We've made it through like 3 scenes in this show.
Yeah, and I have a feeling we're gonna do a terrible job as we go. But if you guys like this type of thing, then enjoy this with us. But I am a completist, and I need to get through it. We move into seeing the Independence Inn for the first time, and there is a note here.
There's also controversy that we'll get to.
I think that's actually not going to be in this episode. So as we move into the next scene, we're seeing Independence Inn for the first time. And I need to read this to you. This is setting the stage to where we are. And we have some controversy regarding the paintings. And we're going to get to that in episode 2. So if you want
I have
to know,
a whole 15-minute
we're going to be quiet about it.
monologue planned. You're going to listen to all of the things that I have to say about it because it's horrible.
So if you don't know anything about the oil paintings in the pilot episode...
Paintings
in the pilot episode, then you definitely need to listen to the next episode because we've got some things. But there is something else about the oil paintings. So I was reading this, and it says when you are coming into the Independence Inn for the first time, an oil painting of a very scary old guy wearing a powdered wig and knickers fills the screen. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to visualize. I actually went back and watched it. The only very scary old guy that I could think that they were referring to is when they first come in on the side of the wall. You said you think this was John Adams, is off to the side, not behind Michelle, because behind Michelle there is a painting there.
It's not John Adams. I can't place him. It's too small. I have a theory that it's the picture that we don't see behind Michelle, the giant painting with the two stars.
The stars?
Yeah. I think that's the one that I think they were trying to do a pan down rather than a pan up.
It could be. Now, I want to just be clear here in case anybody's trying to go search for this. These paintings change, and we're going to talk about this. But I just want to be clear, if you're going to go look for it and you want to know who the very scary old guy is, I tried a million times. The painting we're wanting to know is the one with the stars on it. It does change, in a few scenes. But the one with the stars, I can't see. But I'm just a very scary old guy.
In knickers, it implies it's a full portrait standing. Yeah, so I don't even know if that's the one with the star. I can't even...
I don't know. So they might have decided to get rid of it, but it's such a strange way to describe...
So this is in the original script, but it's not anywhere in the show.
Maybe not. I don't know.
So it's in the script, but it's not in the show?
Yeah, it just makes me wonder, though, when they say that they wanted it to be a very scary old guy, did they mean that they think that people from colonial times that wear the powdered wigs were scary? Or, I'm just confused, because, that, we see those type of paintings all the time.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit biased. I mean, to me, it would be not really scary, just more so out of touch. The whole, the Imperial British redcoat, full dress uniform, okay, whatever.
But the name of the inn is the Independence Inn, so it does make sense. It's theming.
Yeah, it's definitely setting the period that it's in New England, even though it's not filmed in New England. So it gives a very good job of sending that message and that vibe. It feels like it's a small town in New England, but it's Canada or Los Angeles.
The pilot is shot in Canada.
It's either Canada or Los Angeles. Yeah. Depending.
So, anyway, I just thought that was really strange. But we will move on because the paintings will take up a long part of episode 2. So, you want to get to the next one for me?
Nose whistle?
Yeah.
So, there's a reference to a nose whistle.
Is that a reference, or we're taking liberties?
We're stretching. There's liberties, but
I just wanted to know what she meant. When she said, so if you're looking for someone to just be nice to guests, get a harmonica player, maybe some guy who whistles through his nose. Capiche? What? Where did that even come from? I have questions,
I mean, nose whistling is a thing. You can also get you can buy a nose whistle somehow.
Apparently. And I'm wondering, if that was popular back then? Because I don't remember ever having a nose whistle.
There was a commercial where Grandpa is playing Flight of the Bumblebees with his nose. I think it was Geico.
Was it, an older commercial?
I think it was. I think it might actually be similar time to this. Probably a few years after. But
nice.
It's a nice subtle jab where they're playing Flight of the Bumblebees through someone's nose.
Love that.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was possible, I'm sorry, Jala, you're out of a job. Just saying. If that's a real thing. But, I mean, for me, that one was more of just I don't know what you're referring to. But there is there is videos out there. Now, the video I found was a little bit later in time, but there is a guy that plays the recorder, it looked like to me, out of both nostrils. And it was impressive. I will give you that, but like I don't know if I would want to see that. Is it as soothing
as a harp?
Because
visually it's certainly not.
And not when I'm eating.
Yeah. The harp is fine. It's not my thing, but it's fine. It's
beautiful.
There's no objectionable visual that I have to be subjected to. Now, the longest ever or the loudest ever nose whistle was 120 decibels.
Do you have context for that? Because I don't like what's regular decibel? Like what is this talking or
We're
whatever?
at like 30 talking.
Oh, wow.
It's like chainsaw, huge machinery. It's piercingly awful. Your head wants to rip in half loud.
So then I'd rather not hear that.
And then the Google searching that I did for this podcast came up with some things that are completely not related to that nose whistle at all. But the longest person's ever nose was apparently some guy from the 1800s, 7.5 inches. Inches. His name is Thomas Wetters, and the record stands to this day. It's been hundreds of years.
I'm so confused. Like, I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're seeing that I am currently trying to measure my nose with my finger, and I'm about 2 inches. 7.5. Can you imagine? That would be at my chin.
There are wax representations of this gentleman, and it is the best and also the most horrifying thing that you've ever seen on the internet. That is not entirely explicit. So it's disturbing, but also interesting.
Are you trying to say that you like explicit things more than this? I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying that it is troubling in certain ways, and it's the most troubling thing, excluding explicit content.
Wait, so can you imagine though, like if he was the nose whistler at 7.5 inches?
That's what I'm getting to. It would be a different sound altogether.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
More like a bassoon.
I mean, I feel like that would be a band.
Yeah.
The harp and the nose bassoon. I'm in. Jella, you have some competition. So I mean, thank you for looking that up for me.
Google Thomas Wetters. There are illustrations. There are pictures. Oh, that poor man. That poor man.
I mean, do you think he was famous back then for having the longest nose?
I don't know. Famous enough that people recreated it in wax. And then also drew pictures of it. So yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know why we needed to know that, but now we do. So thank you for that. Thank you.
I had to talk about something related to nose whistles. That's all I got. And the Google search results are something else.
Lovely. Now I know what I'm doing after this. Thank you for that. So anyway, that's what we think Drella meant, was some type of either whistling with a recorder out your nose or using that little toy thing. But I don't know. Either way, she was being a little snarky. There's a lot of snark in this.
There's a lot of snark. It seems to me like a lot of this is throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. So Suki's very clumsy in this, and that disappears or is toned down quite a bit. I mean, Luke is very, very overly gruff, which changes. Drella is very sarcastic. Michelle is very sarcastic.
I mean, that doesn't change.
It does change. He's more human later on in the series. I think he finds a little bit of a happy medium.
Yeah.
To be sarcastic, but then also show that he is a genuine person, not a unfeeling sociopathic robot.
I guess that is fair. It is definitely finding itself right now, which is so much fun for me. So we only have one more reference, but
for this episode, there's like 17 pages worth of reference.
I know. Yeah. I know. But I'm very excited about this because I'm in the Gilmore Girls world, right? I'm in the community. I know everything, and I didn't know this, and I love this. There is a scene in the script that I found that doesn't exist. I have not been able to find a recording of it. I don't know if they ever actually filmed it. I don't know, but there is a scene.
Oh.
So can I share it with you?
Let's go.
So they are still at the inn, and Rory and Lorelai are behind the desk, it seems. And Derek, an 18-year-old, absolutely adorable valet, comes up to the desk. So he says, man, there's a lot of people here today. I've got cars backed up all the way to the driveway. Rory says, well, good thing you're here. Derek says, "Oh, well, I just wanted to tell you that I don't have to go to my aunt's funeral tomorrow. She didn't die yet." Lorelai, "Well, keep me posted." Derek, "Oh, absolutely. That's a real nice outfit you're wearing." "Thank you, Derek." Derek smiles at her. He's absolutely smitten. He takes off out the front door. Rory shakes her head. "God, he's so puffy-faced around you." Derek, "Sweet, you should take a crack at him." "He's not into me, Mrs. Robinson," which would have been a reference if this was in here.
That's definitely a reference.
Yeah, do you know what the reference is? Because I don't.
You're trying to seduce... Miss Robinson, are you trying to seduce me? Or
What is that from?
It's The Graduate.
Oh, and the Graduate's reference later on in the episode, and later on in the series.
Yeah, it's Dustin Hoffman. Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me?
So I'm assuming that's like a cougar?
Yes, dear.
Oh, well, I don't know. I haven't seen The Graduate, even though it was also referenced in Boy Meets World, which is a podcast I love to listen to, too.
Yeah, you're killing me with Bill Daniels.
Well, I didn't know. So anyways, he said, well, he could if you weren't wearing entire flock of sheep, and now we say goodbye, which is a line that's still in the show. So one of the reasons I think this scene is really interesting is this episode, the pilot, is very boy crazy. Between both Lorelai and Rory, there is boy crazy themes to it.
There are boys being crazy more than boy crazy, although there is a little bit of that from Rory later on. But
yes.
it's primarily the men lose themselves and can't control themselves around
yes,
the pair.
But Rory makes a comment, did you do something slutty? So she's definitely referencing. Lorelai flirts with the guy to get the item fixed. You know, I don't forget anything, so you're going to fix this for me. Very kind of flirty voice, flirty way of talking. And then also when Lorelai is talking to Michelle, there's a flirtatious / friendly vibe going on there.
I think that's just who she is as a person. I don't think it's
you're right.
Social butterfly Lorelai. She just wants to be in everyone's business, kind of.
Yeah.
She's basically Miss Patty in her prime. Like, it's old. It's a younger version of Miss Patty who just is liked by everyone and in the know. Yeah.
You're probably right. If this scene was in there, though, I feel like it would have felt a little bit much with Rory because she's leaving school later on, or doesn't... Later on, she doesn't want to go to school because of a boy. And also, she has this run-in with a boy. Like, I feel like that would have been a lot.
But it was not her run-in. It was her run-in watching her mother's run-in.
Yes, but her mother does say she should take a crack at him. Which is a weird thing for a mother to say to her child. But, you know, that's what it is. I don't know. It's just a very strange scene. And apparently, this Derek does come up in another episode. It's the one where Rory's going to Chilton for the first time. So he is in the show. It's just...
This scene was removed entirely.
Yes. So I am going to be keeping my eyes peeled for him when he comes because I want to know how adorable this valet is. You know, I'm just very curious. But he is in the show. So, very interesting.
Well, we will keep everyone posted.
Yes. So, if you heard it here first, I'm very excited to have shared it with you.
All right. Now, this next reference, and we're like 5 minutes into the show.
All right. I know I'm being annoying, but there's like one more thing I wanted to mention before we get to our last reference.
Okay.
So, right before the end of this section, the 7 minutes, you know, we have a scene between Lorelai and Michelle where she's basically begging Michelle to help Rory with her French paper.
Yes, and she makes fun of him in a French accent.
Yeah, so first of all, do we find this problematic?
No, I mean, it's a gray area because... It's subjective, and I don't want to be canceled, so there is no absolutely correct answer to that. It's humor is subjective, and references and that kind of stuff is all subjective. So I
will defer to those who are from France. I was going to say I'm not French, so I can't have an opinion, but that would be a lie.
Your family originally is from France. You're from Massachusetts. That doesn't count.
No, I don't speak French. I'm not French culture. Like, I'm not from French culture. Like, I don't...
You're not French Canadian. You're not from France. No, you're...
No. I have family members who are, but they are older, and, you know, I don't feel like that is the same. So I will defer to those people.
I think that's the reasonable attitude.
I do think that the making fun of people in that way is very common. It's something that people do. I mean, you make fun of my Boston accent. I feel like that's a very similar thing.
That is not at all the same.
No, you don't think it's similar?
It is not tied to
culture
and
that's fair.
And where you come from ethnically. Like it's
that's
it's
fair.
not at all tied to something that is beyond your control.
It is the same way in which you're trying to make fun of someone, but when culture is involved, it does get a little bit tricky.
It's less appropriate in that respect. Although I don't know if it's crossed the line to fully inappropriate.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's something I would love to know.
And besides, making fun of your Boston accent is just funny. So.
Well, anyway, I'd be curious to know what people thought about it. But did you know that it wasn't originally going to be a French accent that she spoke to him in?
What was it going to be?
It says Betty Boopish baby talk.
Nope, I'm out. I would not have watched any more of the show. No.
See, so I went and listened to Betty Boop because I was just curious. I don't honestly know if I've ever watched a Betty Boop cartoon. Her baby talk is not what I picture. Like, I picture those really annoying people that, you know, they really talk in baby talk. Like people, the way they talk to their dogs. Like, I was picturing that. It was more just, like, kind of high-pitched cartoony.
Yeah. So,
I don't know which way they meant with it, but baby talk from women in public really irritates me. So awful. Yeah. No, I mean, look, we all kind of have the thing where everybody reverts to that kind of baby talk in privacy of their home. You know, there's the TikToks that go around where guys get caught doing it. Like, it's a thing. Look, we can be honest about it. It's fine. But in public, I don't know. It's really cringy, and I don't know that I would have liked Lorelai as much if that is one of the first impressions I had of her, so I'm really glad they changed it. And I actually thought, even though the French accent might be culturally inappropriate, I thought it was a good, like, French accent. Like, I couldn't have done that. Very well done.
I mean, she's a professional actress. We are neither.
No, exactly.
Neither one of us is a professional actress. So.
Yeah. And I just wanted to mention that she says pretty please with sucre on top, which I didn't know what that was. Do you know what it is?
It's French for sugar.
Yeah, you knew. How did you know? I didn't know.
I failed several years of French in school, so.
I didn't know that. I've only ever heard the phrase as pretty please with a cherry on top. So I was like, I wonder why she changed it.
It's pretty please with sugar on top, but she changed it to French sugar.
Wait, do people say pretty please with sugar on top?
Yes. Pretty please with sugar on top.
Who says that? It's pretty please with a cherry on top, for sure.
It's sugar. It's sugar.
You're
cherry. Wrong. It's sugar.
Wait, you've never said cherry on top? You've always said sugar?
I've said both, but it's sugar.
No, it's not. Okay.
Now you're wrong. All right.
Okay, well.
We can let the 5 people that are going to listen to this episode
make the decision for us. Because it's cherry.
It's sugar.
It's, okay. Well, then, great. So we have one more reference before we end this out.
Yes, we do.
And this one is kind of maybe hidden-ish?
It's not really hidden. I think it's more of a defining moment to establish the character of Lane. So this is the first time you meet Lane, and she has no identity except walking onto the set. So she has to form who she is really quickly. And she puts on a Woodstock 99 shirt after she's left eyesight of her mother's, which is her
MO.
Her entire personality for the first forever. Like, she doesn't tell her mom later in the series that she's pregnant until, like, she's very pregnant. So it's very much, she's hidden that part of herself, the music side of things, and she's having to live a double life. And did she go to Woodstock 99?
There's no way. There's no way. First of all, Woodstock 99 was in New York, from what I understand.
That's not that far from Connecticut.
How would she have gotten there?
Literally, Connecticut is next to New York, though.
But her mom, like, keeps her on, like, a regiment. I don't think so.
I mean, fair. I don't think it's probable because of her mother being very controlling. But it's only like a 2-hour drive. I mean, fair. That's fair. I just don't think her personally would have been able to get there. Now, you want to talk about what Woodstock 99 was? Oh, it was Fire Festival. It was the original terrible outdoor music concert. It was just bad. There was fights, there were sexual assaults, it was drugs, obviously. Lots of inappropriate or insufficient sanitation. It was not set up in a cohesive way. I mean, they had a lot of great bands. Did they? Yeah, I wrote down Red Hot Chili Peppers, Metallica, DMX, Limp Bizkit, Korn, Alanis Morissette, Kid Rock, Creed. The Millennial in me wishes I was there. I mean, the Millennial, like, all of those bands are straight from that time. Like, that would have been a good time if not for all of the other horrible things that happened. Yeah.
Now, what do you think the reason she was wearing that shirt was? Because it's directly mentioned in the script that she's wearing that particular shirt.
I think Woodstock is one of the single most identifiable music designs. Mm-hmm. People think music when they think of Woodstock. They think of the original Woodstock. They don't think Woodstock 99. They think Woodstock from the 1960s. But it's just, it puts you clearly into a music themed person.
Yeah, that could be. So I have one theory. Now, of course, I unfortunately got an article that has a paywall, so I can't read it to you. But there is a quote from Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. And he's complaining about the media coverage of this because essentially he's saying that the media doesn't want kids to have a good time at a music festival. And they made everything seem way worse than it is because it was a lot of kids there. And he's saying how they need to let these kids have fun. They shouldn't make it seem so bad. This wasn't what the media portrayed it to be. And it's like kids breaking away from stereotypes and kids breaking away from what their parents want them to do and kind of living their own life. And that quote really made me think of Lane because Lane is very much trying to identify herself as a person away from what her mom wants her to be. And music is the way she does that. And I feel like that really kind of speaks to her character and sets up like who she really is. So I don't know if that was the intent. I don't know if Amy Sherman Palladino had like the same idea of the fact that the Woodstock 99 got poor coverage because it was a lot of kids there. I don't know. But it was really interesting to read the quote and see like how much they were talking to the fact that kids really need to be able to be who they are.
Question for you.
Yeah.
If she didn't go, where did she get the shirt?
If Lane didn't go, so my thought was either Lorelai and Rory gave it to her because we know that they do like music. I mean, they go to a Bangles concert later on, and we see some.
Do we think that Lorelai would have taken Rory to Woodstock 99?
I don't see why not.
Because she would have been, 14, 15
yeah.
at the time? Like, she's not even old enough to drive in the pilot because the car comes up later.
I don't know. So, I mean, I feel like this was the 13th anniversary of Woodstock, and that was something...
30th.
Oh, I wrote down 13th, so thank you for the correction.
1969 to 1999.
Well, okay. So, I mean, I feel like... I think it's something that she would take her to. I don't know, though. I mean, she could have also gotten it. Apparently, it came with CDs at the time. Like, there was ways to get it through ordering a CD. I don't know how true that is. That's what it said on the internet. I didn't obviously order a CD back in 1999.
To be perfectly fair, how does she get any of the music that she gets secretly?
Yeah, they didn't have like ordering online the way that we do now. They probably would have had to like I don't know, like order through a catalog or something.
Or go to an actual store.
We do see Rory doing that later on too, so that's possible. But I mean, again, how would Lane have gotten to a store?
Unless she's selling Woodstock 99 merchandise in Stars Hollow, there's no way for her to get it.
Which I don't think has happened.
No.
So my best guess is either Lorelai or Rory gave it to her, or she got it like by ordering
a package
like
deal.
Yeah, a CD or other thing like that. So that's my assumption. But I would be curious to know if anyone thinks that she like snuck out, went to New York, went to Woodstock 99, and then came home, because that would be amazing.
That would be the most epic thing. And if she could confirm, if Lane's character could confirm that that's how she got that shirt, that would make my life.
I need a prequel at that point.
I demand to see that, because that is spectacular. Yeah.
So we have been through 8 references and extraneous things.
In about 8 minutes of screen time so far.
Yes. So we've got many, many more to go through for the pilot episode. I don't think all episodes will have this many, but this is really fun for me. So I hope that people are enjoying this. So I think that's everything we have.
That's everything we have. And this is you getting to live your completest life and experience all of the references in Gilmore Girls and just fully embrace who you are.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. So come back for episode 2. We'll be doing that soon, and we'll be having a big fight about an oil painting. So let's get into that. Thank you guys for listening.